black woman.
Welcome to another episode of I'm Just Saying, two black women with opinions, where unapologetically bold black women bring you real talk on the issues that matter most. Today, we have two incredible leaders from Black Women for Wellness, Meron Shita, the Civic Engagement Manager, and Ruth Mayfield, a key member of our CHOW team. In this episode, we're diving into the vital work these women are leading around housing accessibility and wellness initiatives in Los Angeles. Their efforts focus on improving the health and lives of black women and girls by tackling the systemic barriers to housing and healthcare that many face. Meron and Ruth are on the front lines, ensuring that our communities are not just informed but empowered to make changes they need to thrive. We'll also be discussing the Fierce Aunties campaign, a powerful initiative that recognizes the critical role black women, especially aunties, play in shaping the future of our families and communities. Through this campaign, Black Women for Wellness is calling on all black women to help us build and sustain a movement for health, wellness, and equity. It's all about recognizing the power of our aunties to nurture, protect, and advocate for their loved ones, and how we can turn that power into systemic change for us all.
Hi, so clearly we are not Jan and Ajola, but we are still very much two Black women with opinions. My name is Meron Shita. I am the Civic Engagement Program Manager here at Black Women for Wellness.
I am Ruth Mayfield. I'm the Community Outreach Worker at Black Women for Wellness.
Awesome. So today we want to talk about really how we survive in these trying times, right? So we go beyond surviving and thrive in these trying times. How we create a sustained community that thrives when chaos in the world is all around us. So I do want to start by asking Ruth some questions. Ruth, you've been at the heart of these community efforts through the Fierce Aunties campaign. How do you create space where Black women and girls aren't just getting by, but living well in these challenging times?
For one thing, I like the part when we all get together and we have a day of just really pampering ourselves. We have an opportunity here at Black Women for Wellness to have these glamour days from the Fierce Auntie. Recruit Fierce Aunties to come on in, and even the ones that are here to come back. And we do sit around and have conversations, just bounce off of each other. The things we used to do, your mama used to do back in the day. Everybody sit around at the kitchen table with their coffee and their cigarettes and laughing and talking. You know what I'm saying? That was then. Today, we don't want to sit there with no cigarettes,
Can you tell me a little bit more about your role as a canvasser and your role in canvassing and voter education? How do you help people stay informed and involved, especially in the climate that we're living in right now?
Whoa, that's one of my best things I do around here at Black Women for Wellness. I love going out, knocking on doors and talking to people in the community because you meet different people. And one thing about it, I'm the type of person, I meet people where they're at. You know what I'm saying? I don't go in there talking like I know everything. I basically ask them questions and see what their opinions are and see where I can help them and give them resources to places that they might need help to go get far as housing, far as food. So that's my best part of this job because like I said, I get to get out here and meet people where they at. And far as it's, when it comes to election time, just able to hear people's opinions and being able to talk to people about different things that's going on. Because the big thing now is the housing situation. And I get a lot of feedback when I'm out there walking and talking with people that are homeless. I come from a homeless state of mind myself years ago, so I understand what it means to be homeless. Everybody's not homeless because they're out there on drugs. It's the other situations that happen in their life. Far as when the COVID hit, a lot of people lost their apartments, their jobs. So a lot of people are still struggling trying to get by. Then we just had these big fires. So it's a lot going on right now out here. A good thing is during election time and stuff, we get to really meet people where they at and get to talk to them about different things and that be true because we're not taking no information out there that have not been researched that we don't know nothing about. So we get to tell the things that are correct because the media blow things out of proportion. So that's one of my main things I like getting out there, just informing the community of what's going on.
Thank you for that, Ruth. Yeah, and that goes right into what the mission of Black Women for Wellness and the Civic Engagement Program is in particular, right? So our goal with the civic engagement work that we're doing is to ensure that we are getting good information to our people, getting resources to our people that will help them to not only sustain themselves, but to thrive beyond that survival mentality that we have been forced to have, not only in this current landscape, but in general. The mission of Black Women for Wellness is very clear. It is to enhance the health and well-being of Black women and girls through health education, empowerment, and advocacy. And our civic engagement work is really emphasizing that empowerment and advocacy piece. We are on the doors, on the phones, or at the doors, sorry, on the phones. We are texting people. We have our team of community health outreach workers. We meet as a part at community events on a weekly, if not daily basis, talking to folks and making sure that they are aware of not only the issues that are plaguing our community, but the solutions and the resources to, again, help us move beyond this survival mentality that we unfortunately are forced to have. So, Ruth, what does it look like when Fierce Aunties are empowering their communities through education and policy, or education on policy?
What I observe around here is with the Fearless Aunties, a lot of them come to the meetings, they come to our Glamour Day, and what they do, and they come to our different events that BWW do put on their stuff, like Sisters in Aid, the Economics, different events that we do put on here ourselves. They come to it and they get the information from us, and we get to empower our Fearless Aunties, and they get to take the information back out to the community or to their friends or to their relatives. And that's what we do on a daily basis around here. I mean, it's like I was somewhere last week, and I was walking out the mall or something, and one of my coworkers was next to me, right? And I just started talking to somebody next to her. I said, we do this, ooh. And she started cracking up when we started walk past the lady. She said, girl, you be working 24/7. Because I just started having a conversation with the lady and telling her about Black Women for Wellness, the work that we do. Gave her a business card, told her come by, check us out. And that's what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think you in particular really embody this idea that fierce aunties aren't 9 to 5. They are all day, every day.
Right.
They are talking to not only people in the community, but their family members, their nieces, their nephews, their cousins, sisters, whoever it is. They are everywhere at all times. And it's important that we really do use this train the trainer model, right? So we never want information to live with one person. We want to be able to pass it on and pass it along until our entire community has all of the information they need to move forward and access resources and hold, folks in power accountable. So I think you do a really great job of really embodying what Fierce Auntie is that a thing? What a Fierce Auntie should be and is.
That's right. I am a
Sorry?
I am a Fearless Auntie.
So how do you build trust with our communities around policy, especially the work that's done with the Fierce Aunties campaign?
For me, like I said, I meet everybody where they at. I sit down on their porch with them, sit there. I might kick my shoes off and all that. Sit down there with them, and we get to talking about them, make them comfortable with me. Let them know. I be honest with my opinion, and then I listen to what they got to say. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you can meet people where they at. Because everybody not up here. I'm not up there, but I'm growing day by day. There's a lot of things that I didn't understand until I started working here at Black Women for Wellness, and I got into the work. Now I'm just out here advocating and everything else. I'm surprised myself sometimes.
Yeah, and I think another part of it is that we do pop up consistently. So we don't knock on people's doors one time. We don't just call you one time. We don't just pop up at your event one time. You see it on a recurring basis. So my face is not going to change, my face is not going to change. And I'm giving you good information, and I will continue to give you good information whenever you need it. So I think that consistency and recurring nature of the work that we're doing is important to building that trust. Because if they know that this is not a transactional situation, I am always going to be here, or some version of me is always going to be here from Black Women for Wellness. This is very much a reciprocal relationship. We never want it to feel transactional when we're interacting with our community members. So I think that consistency is really important for folks. I would much rather our residents roll their eyes when they see us again than not know who we are. Which is kept, and we've had our people come back and be like, well, I saw Miss Lori the other day and she told me stop knocking on her door. I would rather that relationship than who are you and why should I believe what you're telling me?
I feel good. You know what? I feel good sometimes because I'm not going to. We've been knocked on their door 3 or 4 times around here. And I'm not that. What you want today? Didn't I just see you last week? And that's when you laugh and talk with them. And I know this is something else I got to show you. Ask them the questions and they answer it for me. And they'd be glad that we come by there and do give them this new information because a lot of people don't know. They don't understand. And the part that we do at Black Women's Well is, like I said, to meet people where they're at. You have to meet people where they're at.
Yeah, we serve as that middle point, right? So
That's
the
right.
information oftentimes comes to the organization in some form or fashion, and we are responsible for getting it back to our people, so that we don't get left behind. Example is we had SB 65 a few years ago, which was the Momnibus bill that offered a lot of really great resources to mamas during their perinatal experience. And the recurring thing that I heard when we were talking to folks about this is they had no idea that a law had even been passed. They had no idea that they now could access dual services through Medi-Cal. They did not know that there were expansions in the financial resources that they now had through CalWorks. So things like that where it's a use it or lose it situation where if they don't have the information to access it, it's going to go somewhere else or it's going to disappear altogether. We are kind of that middle point where we ensure, again, we're not left behind because of a lack of awareness. I think the last time we reached out to folks about Momnibus, about 83% of people said that they had no idea that bill had passed.
At all.
Which is wild.
Exactly. And then another thing is, we service a lot of seniors too, like people that come for our food distribution. They didn't know that Medi-Cal paid for them rides to and from the doctors or any other place else that got to do with anything medical, health-wise. They'll drop them off here because it's their wellness. A lot of people didn't know that. When we got the information and know that it was real, we could start telling our members and start telling other people. And now they getting rides and stuff. And if we don't get out there and do that, these people are not going to know because they're not telling us. They're not telling us. It's not on the news. They're not broadcasting in the media, stuff like that. They don't broadcast.
This is a segue that I didn't write down, but I think this is a good thing, and I think both of you can speak to it. Do you think that lack of information that the everyday voter had played into how this last election kind of unfolded? A lack of information of how things will impact them.
I think a lack of information definitely contributed to the results of this year, but also a lack of what is the word I'm looking for? Appealing options, not necessarily as far as candidates go, but as far as policy and the direction that these candidates were advocating for did not really take Black people into account. It wasn't centering Black voices. It wasn't centering Black communities. So I think the reason why we lost quite a few people to not necessarily different parties, but the couch is because there weren't policy platforms or pathways that felt like it was really a movement forward for Black people as a whole and the communities that we serve.
And you know, remember back in the day, different houses used to hold little events around the candidates and stuff like that. Well, none of that happened. None of that happened this election. None of that happened. You know, they didn't want it to go nowhere. That's why it happened the way it did. They didn't want it to go nowhere. Cause we was out there knocking on doors, and I'm not gonna lie, arguing with people and everything else. And it's still, when I woke up the next morning and seen he had got elected, I like to die. I mean, all that work we did, Jesus. Yeah, we gonna get past this though.
And so this election was interesting in that because there was so many pitfalls with what was happening on the federal level, we really emphasized those local and county and state seats that are truly impactful on our day-to-day lives. The messaging that we were putting out was, you know, here's what a city council member does. Here's how it's going to impact you. Who is your question? How do I get money into my community? That is very much a city council issue, a mayoral issue. So just kind of trying to connect the dots for people on how will my material circumstances improve if I not even necessarily vote for a particular candidate, but participate in this process and learn more about the candidates that are running and why they are or are not for me. So yeah, it was definitely difficult getting that message across to people because I don't think that I don't think that the pathways that were being offered were particularly centering the Black experience or Black communities.
And then, you know, a couple of, you know, because I remember me and you went out there to that town hall meeting out in Inglewood at the church, and it really wasn't no big turnout. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a big turnout, and it should have been, you know. And, you know, people, I don't know. But we gonna get past this. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Again, we lost more people to the couch than anything else. The largest portion of Americans did not participate in this past election. So I think that is the problem that we are really going to have to deal with and figure out what we need to do and what, you know, organizations as a whole and what candidates and, you know, the entire system needs to do to really address that issue.
Meron, you can move towards the closing pieces, and then we'll.
Skip rites of passage.
Actually, no, I don't. I do not want to skip rites of passage. I do need to cover that part.
Okay, so Ruth, you did talk a little bit about the senior experience, right? So let's shift to the other end of the spectrum. Can you tell me a little bit about your work in particular with rites of passage? How does that help empower Black girls?
I'm just
for independence.
I'm just smiling here because I was involved with the rites of passage, the first couple of cohorts, and just to see these girls come in, to see them come into the program, sitting up with their attitudes and with their phones, and then you think they're not paying attention to what's going on. Then to see them when they're leaving out for the graduation and they're talking, having tears because they had grew. You know, they have really grew. Just their conversation that I had with different ones of them. And I seen the girls get empowered in here. I truly did. I seen the girls get empowered. And I seen the girls come to us because we had a bunch that were here that they didn't feel like they was getting their proper education down there at Crenshaw High. They came in here complaining about it. And I'm like, 'cause they were stressing about it and saying, we don't feel like that we learning like we supposed to down there. And I went to Jan about that. I asked Jan about that. I said, Jan, the girls are complaining. They don't think that they're getting their right education down there. They say how the teachers is tripping on them. Jan said, we can't go down there. We can't do that, Ruth. I said, I want to go down and check it out. She again said, we can't do that. But they were really concerned about graduating and getting their credits. And I watched them. We take them to colleges. A couple of them that was here in the program got accepted when they fill out the application at the college. We got one girl from the Rites of Practice. I think she's at Harvard now. She's at Harvard. That's something to be proud of. And she was coming all the way from Lakewood here to the rites of passage. You know, I think the rites of passage is a good thing because it empowers the girls into getting them ready. And they do the sex education. They do, the sex education. We do, when they have the substance abuse segment, I always step in for that to help them out with that. And at first I didn't want to do that because I didn't know how the girls was going to perceive me after I told them my background. But afterwards, the girls, they gave me a hug and they said, Miss Ruth, we would have never known. Not you, you know. Yes. You know, I'll be honest with you, but I watch them around here. I watch them grow around here. The Rites of Passage is a good program. It's a very good program. I wish we could have more than 15 or 20 girls because it need to be out there for everybody. Everybody.
I agree. So what role does the Fierce Auntie play in that mentorship? Like, why is it important now more than ever? So what role do Fierce Aunties play?
Because you lead by example. Lead by example. We lead by example to the girls to let them know, you know, that we're there for them and we're going to advocate for them as much as we can. I watched that our International Women's event. I watched a couple of girls there that was talking about different things that wasn't happening in the school. They were so happy that we can go back them up about things that ain't happening in the school. See, so it goes two and two together.
So yeah, that goes back to kind of that theme of filling in gaps, right? So in the girls, often when they're coming to the Rites of Passage program are getting information and, education around things that are not in the traditional high school curriculum, financial literacy education, a comprehensive sexual ed program, things that are really necessary for us to be able to live those empowered, thriving, abundant lives that are, again, missing in the traditional spaces that we live in. I think Rites of Passage has done a great job of filling that gap and helping our girls to, move forward in a really abundant manner. Okay, so looking ahead, what do we need to continue doing to create communities that thrive together? How do we push forward even in times when it seems like everything is falling apart?
We got to keep on keeping on. We got to keep getting out here in the community, talking in the community, and have more spaces where the community can come in and sit around and throw things off each other, bounce things off each other. Like they said, where are we going from here? Where are we going from here?
I agree. I think I would say that we need to continue to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
As a community, we need to continue to pay attention. We need to understand that voting is just one step in this democratic process. If we really want to get the things that we need done, we need to hold folks accountable. And that means showing up when organizations like Black Women for Wellness are asking you to give public comment at city council or, county department. It means showing up when we're asking you to come out to a rally or to a town hall where we're going to really dive deep into these issues where we are being impacted at a disparate rate. It means, signing up for our newsletter and learning about what Black Women for Wellness is doing on a weekly basis, and plugging in where it makes sense for you, or volunteering, whatever the case may be, plug in where it makes sense for you is what I would say. Pay attention and keep the movement moving.
Yes.
That was an amazing conversation with Meron Shita and Ruth Mayfield of Black Women for Wellness. They're doing critical work around housing accessibility and health equity that has a direct impact on Black women and girls. Be sure to follow us on social media for more conversations like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Catch you in the next episode.